G'day, I'm Brendan Wing and welcome to YouFishTV. Tonight's show, we're going to start in my lounge room on a Monday night and we're going to get on the laptop and we're going to show you a very, very important tool that all game fishermen should use or at least know about. Check this out. This website is called seasurface.com. I'm going to hit this button here and go into the subscribers section, and I pay an annual subscription to be a member of this site. Obviously I've got to log on, wing up. Password's already in there, and log on. Okay, once we're inside, we're confronted with thumbnail images down the left hand side of the screen, giving us a heap of options of satellite thermal imaging maps. What they do is they show us the sea temperature of all the regions around Australia. All we've got to do is pick one that's in the area that we want, that hasn't got clouds. And if I look down here, that one there, if you look down here, there is no clouds around the southeast part of Australia. So I'm going to go in there and have a look. Now we've got a usable map in a JavaScript. Okay, what we do is we use the selection tool. We pick the area we want to look at. We want to look at Southeast Australia. We highlight it with that box. We go up to this, zoom into selected area, and there we go. Tasmania, Flinders Island, Mallacoota, Port Phillip Bay, and this red water, that is hot water called the EAC, the East Australian Current. It actually pushes down all year round, southward down the east coast of Australia, but about this time of year, January, February, March, it pushes a little bit further than normal and actually pushes into Bass Strait and even sometimes down the east coast of Tasmania. And as you can see, this big body of warm water is starting to push into the state. Let's zoom in even closer. Zoom to selected area. Now what we want to do is we want to optimize the colours on the page, so every water gradient on that page is about to be reshuffled from coldest blue to hottest red. And there we go. That's very cold water in there. That would be green water. This would be green water. This would be a clear blue water pushing down the east coast of Australia. This is what we wanted to see. This is what I've been waiting for months and months, to wait to see this to happen. Why? Because this can contain anything. Marlin, mahi-mahi, yellowfin tuna, striped tuna, bonito, even wahoo, who knows, cobia. The possibilities are endless. How is this in relation to the shelf? Let's show you. Down this button here, we can go depth on, and there we go. There's the contour lines at the bottom, and that pink line represents the continental shelf. But that's not all this does. It doesn't just show you visually where the water is. You click this button here, it says show and hide temperature, and I can come out with the cursor and actually move it around and look at the water temperature. Here we got 18.5, 18.6. Over here in the red water, 21.8. That's really warm. That is enough water temperature to carry black marlin, blue marlin, and striped marlin. Okay, so somewhere between there and there is a current break, and you actually see roughly where it is. We hit this button over here called Enhance Image, and actually 3D the whole image, and actually lift higher the warmer and drop the cold water lower, and you'll get contoured hard edges here. Now look at that right there, 19.4. 20.4. There's a degree water temperature right there in the area of about a kilometre. So somewhere in there's a hard edge, and it goes right down here towards this canyon. And I would imagine over the next few days, by the time we get there Saturday, this hot body of water might have moved right over to here to the Everard Canyon. So I'd say that's where we'll probably head to. And if we don't find nothing here, we will then move out until we find it, or move in until we find it. But we know where to look. It's coming, we'll be there, and hopefully it's got marlin in it. Obviously in the cold water you're going to have your plankton and your bait. In the hot water you're going to have your predators zigzagging in and out, and that's where we have to be. Range from Cape Comorin boat ramp, we click it once, we pull this out here to Everard Canyon, down the bottom here to 54 k's. At that point we'll probably start trolling, and we'll probably move out this way up to 70 k's out. If we find nothing there, we'll probably come back and move in and out until we find it. But we know it's coming, we know what to look for. Hot meets cold. And obviously, let's say I wanted to go today or tomorrow morning to that exact spot. 19.7 degrees, where it goes into 20.4 degrees, somewhere here. Where was it? There. We can get coordinates down here, GPS coordinates. We can put them in the GPS and race straight to it. Very, very handy tool, and very important, because we're actually working at finding these marlin, and this is our best friend. We've been waiting for this. Here it comes. Let's get it on. I can't begin to explain how we feel. I went and have a look around and see how calm it is out in the ocean. The outriggers are out. We've got the Tiagra 80s, and in game fishing terms in Victoria, they're as big as reel as you're really going to run. That's world-class tackle, and why would we be doing that in January in Victoria, I wonder? Well, let's just say we're thinking bigger than ever, and we're out very far east of the state on the continental shelf, southeast of Lakes Entrance. We're probably about 150 k's from lakes, but we picked the weather right, and we're out here trolling the edge of the continental shelf where there's all these canyons and horseshoes and kinks, and there's bait jumping everywhere, and the water's cobalt purple blue. The water temperature's gone from 15 when we launched to 21.5, which is a really good sign when the water's cobalt blue. We do think there's a bit of current pushing from the east into Bass Strait. So why are we here? Why wouldn't we go to Bermagui or Jarvis Bay or Port Stephens? Because we love a challenge. You know, we know we can go up there and put 3 or 4 days in to catch marlin, but there's something special about coming into your home waters of Victoria and pulling a marlin. And people sort of set these goals for themselves all over the world, but they're fishing goals for most people. For us, it's not just a fishing goal, it's a filming goal. We want to be one of the first, or the first, to film a marlin in Victorian waters. It would just be a dream come true for all the crew on this boat. We've rehearsed hard, we know our roles, it's a genuine team effort today. And you got to remember, this part of the world is where the Sydney to Hobart yacht fleet gets smashed up. This is serious, serious water, and we're a long way from help. We have our EPIRB on board, that's the main thing. We've got our life jackets, we're safe, and we've got the weather forecast today is going to be calm all day. This is not something we recommend you come and do. Flat out, that's what we're saying. Don't do this. Okay, so as you've seen, we've got the outriggers up on the crusher. We've got the Tiagras on the 80s on each side, and we're running 3 Pakula lures. All we're going to do is look for either bait or current break. We're going to troll the ocean just looking with our eyes and make sure that we just don't miss anything. And if we see a current break, we're going to work it. If we find bait, we'll stay with it. So basically, we're trolling lures. If we do find some substantial bait, we might try and get some of that bait, put it down, and sort of tow it around the bait balls. Remember, we're pretty new at this. This is not an experienced crew. Lofty's had some experience. Pawsy's had some experience. I've had some, but as a crew, we haven't worked together. So this is an interesting, very interesting experience and experiment. Who knows what's out here? So what's your role, mate? What are you doing?
Well, I'm here to help us out. My job's organising the tackle. So before we even get on the boat, set out the lures, set out the rods, all that kind of stuff. Make sure where we're going to put the lures, that kind of thing. And then once we've got everything under control, fighting a fish, when it gets to that last part, I'm going to be the man on the trace. I'm going to be the man hanging onto the fish. So as it comes beside the boat. But it's going to be a whole team effort of everybody working together.
Okay, Lofty's biggest marlin is 1,249 pounds, caught in Cairns, Australia. So, and he's done a lot of it. So he's on board basically, he's in charge of the spread. He's the skipper of the boat. He's yelling orders to everyone what to do. And I'll tell you what, this trip wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for him. The dedication he's put in up at the shop there, getting the tiagrets ready and the rigs ready and doing all the knots and just making sure that it all goes smoothly when it finally happens. It wouldn't be happening without him. Kevin Bahaja from Terrelgan. I fished with him just once before, actually a couple of times now, but last week we fished together and I was so impressed with his work ethic all day. I wanted him on the team, so here he is.
But don't forget, we call him the Falcon today, Ben. The Falcon in the loft we got.
My job's basically been just to inspire the whole thing and dream it out, and get the boys involved and just make sure that the crusher's ready, the bar crusher's set up. So we couldn't be here if it wasn't for the help of a lot of people. Okay, so we talk about a current break. We've just been out the shelf for quite some time. We've decided to come in. There's no bait out there, so we thought if we go in towards land, at some point there will be a current break. You want to know what one looks? You want to know what one looks like? This is your classic sign: a foam bubble trail. This side of the water's calm. The other side of the water's sort of stippled and sort of turbid. The wind's running the east and the current's running on the east on the south side. And here we go. Here's the current break. Right here. And that's what it looks like. Look at that. As far as the eye can see in either direction, and it actually drops a couple of points in the temperature. So this is a good place. If we don't get nothing here in 10 minutes or 20 minutes, we're probably going to nick off because we're running low on fuel and we don't want to do the irresponsible thing and run out. Oh, we finally found some bait. We've got a bit of bait, eh? Yeah. It's all looking good. I'm going to have a rest and have a drink. Okay, so here's our plan. We're just going to zigzag in and out of the cold and back into the warm and back into the cold, into the warm, over that foam trail along this current break and sort of work up and down for a couple of Ks. And the idea is the green colder water is nutrient rich and holds all the bait schools. The marlin travel in the warmer water. And both the marlin and the bait can swim out and get warm or swim in and get cool, and they can moderate their temperature. It's just a hive activity around these current breaks, and that is why we're going to stay here. It's the only sign of life we've seen out here. So we're going back to the south now. We've just crossed the current break again.
We were just talking about the bait and the water temperatures and the other sort of things happening there. If the current break is strong enough, like a big enough variance in temperature, like theoretically 3 or 4 degrees Celsius, whatever the bait fish are in, the warm or the cold water, if they're in the cold water and the big predator fish, like marlin and so forth, can push them into the opposite water, they stun. They go into shock from changing such rapidly, and then the big fish can come through and eat them all. So they actually hunt them against the wall. It's like hitting them against a piece of structure.
And that makes sense to me. Growing up, I had fish tanks, and if I didn't get the water temperature right on the water change, you would hurt your fish seriously and stun them. And obviously that's what you're talking about. So yeah, the big predators are pushing them into the cold or into the hot and doing whatever they've got to do to confuse the fish and stun them and make an easy feed for themselves. This is the last chapter in my fishing life, you know, game fishing. Game fishing for big pelagics of the biggest kind, marlin. There's most likely going to be striped marlin out here, but you never know your luck. Currents from up north on the EAC can bring anything down with them. Run! All right. Up? Yeah. Quick, it's a big fish.
Tell me when you want me to press the quarter wing up.
The big fish, come on. Right. Turn around, boss.
just to floating in it?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's special that we did what we just did in
Yes.
Victorian waters.
Yes.
I don't think we expected to hook a blue straight up, did we?
No.
And we didn't expect it to take 700 metres, 600 metres of line on us straight up. This spool was looking like it was going to get emptied if we didn't do something about it. And we're a new crew, we haven't done this before. I've never caught marlin in my own boat before, so this is the beginning of the learning curve. And obviously, before my life's over, I'm going to catch a blue marlin. So I'll remember this day as the day I hooked and lost. And what do we learn from it? What do we learn from it is you've got to keep tight at all costs. And the thing is, I think the mistake is, because it took so much line, we're worried about it trying to get back on it too quickly. And we didn't drive the boat fast enough to keep the line tight. It was swimming at us for quite some time. And even though we kept feeding me more throttle, it kept coming with us. And you let that line go slack and...
Trouble is, caught us a bit unawares too, didn't he, Ben?
Well, we weren't even ready for that because we were basically packing up. We couldn't find bait anywhere out here, anywhere. So we just started to head in. We said, we'll head in. I said to Pause, if we head in towards land, we'll probably cross some green water. Did I not, Pause?
Yeah.
Yes.
And we crossed over into the green water and bang.
Well, the temperature dropped a degree.
So temp break, and we've got the hookup point, haven't we?
Yeah.
Well, we might spend some more time here trolling. What do you reckon, boys?
Yeah, I think we've got it now.
Oh well, thanks, Lofty. Well done, mate.
That's all right.
I learn. I will not. I will learn.
Unfortunately, we were. He had that gimbal on the whole time when he took it off 5 minutes before that.
We were ready to pack up.
I know.
I took the gimbal off and all that sort of stuff. Next time, when they're taking a line like that, just feed it straight at the strike, even in the holder. That was a big, big fish.
Yeah, well, I've seen him jump 3 or 4 times. But you two didn't see it, did you?
Nah, we always concentrating on the rods, getting
Well,
doing my job.
you got a good look at it, didn't you? Oh, you was right up doing the old tail walk back.
Yeah, well. Well, this is YouFishTV. We're always at the cutting edge, but we try to be where it's at. And it doesn't get more cutting edge than venturing out on your own 70 k's from the nearest boat ramp into Bass Strait on the edge of the Tasman over the continental shelf. And it's the unknown. We didn't know there was marlin out here, but guess what? There is. Notes to self. As beginners, next time we see the rod buckle over and scream like that, instead of letting it take 600 metres, hit it right up to strike. It's the first thing we did wrong. Second thing we did is we let the line go a bit too slack. Because we're so desperate to try and start getting some of that line back. Yeah, we slowed down on the fish and didn't keep the rod bent. And Lofty's yelling at me to go harder, and I just couldn't go harder. You know, the adrenaline burn after the first couple of minutes, my arm was numb. I'm having trouble holding this camera up. Anyway, we think that was at a tide change and at a current break. We're probably about 20 k's from where we actually started this morning. We're inside the shelf by a long way. Land is just over there. And this is Victoria. Anyway, let's stick at it.
And I was just saying, we're just having a conversation amongst ourselves. I only know of 2 marlin that have been caught in Victoria. I'm sure there could be more, but I know of 2. Now, they launched out of Port Albert, but they were fishing in Tasmanian waters. Neil Blunden got one, and Bondi, another fella who's always down the Port Albert pub, he got one as well with Neil. But they were definitely in Tassie, so, and they were both striped marlin, so this is the first blue marlin that I know of that's been hooked in Victoria. I don't know if there's any more. There could have been, but
and how short are you, mate?
Oh, mate, I've seen it out of the water 4 times, and it was definitely a blue marlin without any doubt. And the way it run would suggest the same as well. So, definitely a blue, mate. Yeah, I've seen him tail walk forward. You were all that busy running around trying to get cameras and that going. I was the only one that seen it. So, yeah, all I had to do was steer. I had the easy job.
Well, my role when we had a hook up was to fire the cameras. The boys clear the other lines. As soon as the cameras were rolling, the GoPros and stuff, I was to then put the rod in the bucket and get into it. I also made the fatal error of taking the gimbal bucket off because we were just about to pull the pin. So it took me another 20 seconds to put that on. It all adds up real quick when that line's taken off the speed of light. There you go. I'm one of very few people that have actually hooked a marlin in Victoria, and who knows, possibly the first ever to hook a blue. Pretty special feeling. I had just waves of emotion over me when that was all happening, and I couldn't believe it, you know, couldn't believe it. And here we are, we're just talking away, but you know, this is what this show's about. It's about the feelings and the emotions that you feel, the highs and lows. And I've got to tell you, that was the highest of highs and one of the lowest of lows. I might not have showed it, but I was pretty close to tearing up when that fish got off. Yeah. Well, that's what we do. We think big. Sometimes we strike it big and sometimes we lose big. We're going to just keep going, and we will be back no matter what happens today. We will be back.